Welcome to Serendipity Style, where every week I'll show you some of the finest luxury handbags, fashions, shoes, and accessories from my designer consignment boutique, Serendipity, located in Glades Plaza at 2200 Glades Road in Boca Raton. So let's get on with the show. Hi, Serendipity Style here. It's Lisa. And I have a special guest with me who I adore and who has helped me in many ways. Her name is Dr. Allenby, Janet Allenby, and she's located on Linton in Delray Beach. And I'd like to say hello. Hello this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Well, thank you so much for having me and letting me tell you about my world, which is cosmetic dermatology.
I know that very well.
Yes, I think a lot of people in Boca know a lot about cosmetic dermatology, or at least cosmetic. And, when we were deciding what to do tonight, I think I really want to make sure that your audience understands why they should see a doctor. Why should they see a cosmetic dermatologist? I want people to be very natural looking in their outcomes. And I think it's very important that they understand how it's done and what's going through my mind when I'm deciding what to do with them when they come in my office.
Yes. And that's one thing of many that I really love about you, is because I've gone to you for several years now, and many a times I'll say, what do I need? And you'll look at me and you'll say, nothing.
Well,
which is, that to me means a lot, because you're looking and
you don't want to overdo anything.
No. And I've seen a lot of that. And,
we all know about going to Boca Mall and just watching the lips go by. And
yes.
It's like, oh my gosh. And it's, that's a huge subject matter by itself. And it's disturbing when you see that. So you really want to see some beautiful outcomes. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of not beautiful outcomes. And maybe people don't realize they look like that. I don't know.
Right.
But, so that kind of makes me think, people need to understand credentialing, number one, and why do they go to, who do they go to, and all that thought process. I think the most important thing is when a person is looking to have cosmetic anything, they need to know who they're going to. In particular, it's usually faces that we work on, but we can work on bodies too. So whoever is naive to this, they need to go out and really find out what's going on out there, who's going to who, read some reviews. If you see a review as only great reviews, you know what? You need to see a review that's good and a review that maybe somebody didn't love it, whatever, right. But you need to see some real people reviews, not those fake ones out there. So credentialing, what is that about? I'm in practice 22 years as a dermatologist, and dermatology actually became really one of the forefronts of cosmetic because we already deal with skin, we already deal with beauty, and it's kind of evolved over time. So when I actually started, there was not a cosmetic dermatology field. And it was really interesting because right when I got out of residency in 95, I was really going, what am I going to do with my practice? I love dermatology, I love surgery. And all of a sudden, a bunch of lasers came out. It was lasers and collagen were the two things that we had right when I got out. Yeah. And I started doing CO2 lasers right away, and it was just fantastic.
And what is that? What is
CO2 lasers? Were the lasers that kind of burn the face off. They had a very bad name to them later because people had a lot of downtime. They were red, so there were problems with them as time went on, but we learned those at the beginning. So that was like the first stuff that we had. We really didn't have a lot of tools to help people. So kind of it was you went for a facelift if you wanted to look better. You didn't really go to a dermatologist. We had collagen, which was fantastic, but it lasted about 3 minutes after you injected it. So it was great when you got it, but it was gone so quick that it really wasn't a viable tool. So as things progressed, we got better tools. Botox came. These are tools that we consider non-surgical. Right. If somebody needs a facelift, they need a facelift. But there are other things you can do. And as I keep going, I want to do more and more of those for people before they get to the surgical point, because surgery is a big deal. And surgery is sometimes necessary, but really, if you get to a point where you have surgery, all the goods and the bads come with surgery. Right. So you have to weigh everything. Everything's a risk benefit. In cosmetic dermatology, what happened is we got Botox, we got Restylane, everybody recognizes those names, and it started exploding. All of a sudden, everybody wants to look better anyway, they started getting tools that they could actually use. So everything was doing pretty well as far as, people were starting to learn about them, meaning patients. Doctors were starting to get better with them because there's always going to be a learning curve when something new comes out.
Right.
And then the recession hit, and all of a sudden nobody had any money. So nobody wanted to go for.
Oh, this is this is very interesting.
Yeah, this was like, during the real estate crash,
Right,
everybody didn't have money, so nobody wanted to go for surgery.
Right.
Surgery is very expensive. It can be anywhere from minimally $8,000 to $20,000 for a good facelift. So all of a sudden, everybody started going to usually dermatologists, but cosmetic non-surgical devices because they're less expensive. A syringe of Restylane is certainly a lot less expensive than a facelift.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, we got really busy and we got a lot of tools because it was such a huge market and there was a huge market demand that everybody was trying to get products to us to be able to use to help.
Right.
Now, Europe is already ahead. They already have a lot of injectable things that we can use, and that's how kind of the progression happened. So first of all, you want somebody who, if you're going to go to somebody, you want somebody who has a lot of experience with whatever they're doing. I will really just do non-surgical. I can do surgery, but I don't want to. I really enjoy the non-surgical aspect and trying to keep things as natural as possible.
And you do. That's really important
Thanks,
to me.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It is. It's important. And, then the next key is part of that whole learning curve was there was a point where people became kind of funny looking. And it was like, what happened? Why is this? And a lot of it was that the marketing of the products, like Juvederm, and I'm going to blame them a little bit. When we got Juvederm and Restylane, actually it was Restylane and Juvederm. I'm not going to blame one versus the other. They were telling the public, the regular person, if you get rid of these nasolabial lines, you're going to look great and you're going to be younger looking. And it helped in the beginning. What happened is that when people looked in the mirror, they were seeing those lines gone, and all of a sudden they magically thought they were younger. They didn't really take into account, nor did the companies, nor did the physicians or whoever is injecting, that the face is really three-dimensional. And when you just fill one dimension, you're going to have issues with out of proportionality. The proportion starts changing. So what happens as we get older, we're losing a lot of the structure from this point down, from the tip of our head to our toes. We're changing, and that's what aging is about. We have fat pads and muscles and bones that absorb and relocate, and you get your fat in your middle. So things are always moving around.
Right.
So, to think that just putting a little, like one syringe of Restylane in the nasolabial folds, and everybody calls them all sorts of things, but that's what they're really called, and it's that little groove between the lips and the cheek. They think they're going to look younger. And it's really about, to make somebody look good, you really need to look at the whole face, and you need to make sure that things stay proportional. To the point where I have started going all the way into the scalp to fill, and I think we might have done that on you in the past. But what you're doing is you're trying to replace or augment things that either you didn't have or that you don't have nicely, that are what our brain sees as pretty. So it kind of goes to, when you're trying to keep somebody proportional and you're trying to make them look prettier, it doesn't matter what their age is. And age is less of an important thing, because when we are doing things that are proportional and we're making cues, and it's CUES, cues, that are saying, hey, if I make a little more of a ice cream triangle instead of a pyramid of a face, the ice cream, that kind of triangle is going to put cues in everyone else's brain, and even my own, that the person is younger. So when you see big cheeks, and I don't mean crazy big cheeks, proportionally placed or augmented cheek that's more this shape and a smaller chin, it makes everybody's brain see you as younger.
That's
right. It's
I understand, because is it lifting things up?
It's lifting,
in proportion,
and that's the key, in proportion. So you can go from the scalp to the chin, and you can add a little bit of volume all the way through, and you can actually make somebody look who's in their 60s. They can look in their 40s if you do it in a proportional manner. So I call it the lizard brain. I'm trying to fool our lizard brain. And
Lizard brain.
yeah, so when
Okay.
I look at somebody, I look to see what are the cues on them that are making them seem aged or tired or unattractive. And I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm just saying, well, how can I improve them and make them feel fresher? And that's really, nobody really wants to change who they look like because we're all pretty happy with how we look. It's just we want to look fresher. So when I look at somebody, I am using my lizard brain to interpret how am I going to make, when I glance at you, wow, I see a pretty face. And a lot of my people have actually become prettier looking. It's when you look at them, they're like, wow, that person's pretty.
Yeah,
I don't remember them being like that before. And that's really a great thing for our self-esteem.
Yeah.
When we look in the mirror and we see those cues ourselves, it just all of a sudden makes you go, wow, I look good.
Yeah.
And if we can make ourselves feel good, that's really what this is all about.
Absolutely.
My job isn't to necessarily just inject. It's to give you a service where you feel good about yourself at the end of the day and you like what you see. And we're in a youthful society. Our society is so pushed to youth and beauty.
Yes.
If you live in South Florida, you know it more than any other place in the country, I think. I think this area is so compact and some people are going to call it superficial. Some
Right.
people are going to call it whatever they want, narcissistic, whatever. This is how our society runs down here. And
Yes.
if you kind of don't look good, it's not necessarily a great thing in this group.
More, you're right. More so where we are.
Right. I mean, when you see somebody move from out of state here, they kind of look normal,
Yes.
like look like the rest of the country
Yeah.
people. And
When I go back to Connecticut, it's a totally different world
right.
there.
And it kind of scary, isn't
Yeah,
it? Like when you
yes,
see
yes.
them and you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
these people look like my grandparents.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like, I don't identify with them.
Yeah.
Where in our society, especially in South Florida, it is there's a high priority and there's high relevancy.
Yes.
When you don't look good, and it's sad, but it is kind of the way this world is, you become less relevant.
Yeah. And it is sad. You're
It
right.
is. And,
But true.
it's a
But true.
competition, and it's all competition because what our lizard brain is trying to do, when we look at someone and we see someone pretty, the next layer down is, are they fertile? Are they somebody who I want to be a mate with? You know,
Right.
and that's why we try to keep ourselves attractive because it's very competitive, especially in the female crowd here.
Yes.
It's a very competitive group. And that's why you see exaggerated things too, because the exaggerated things draw your attention too. So some people really do like that
On
exaggerated
purpose.
look, and they do it purposefully. They may say they don't, but they really do because they're trying to grab the attention. So, there's a lot of psychology and there's a lot of real base human nature things that are going on when we're doing this stuff, and people don't realize the impact that it has when they're having procedures done. Our job is really, it's my job to make sure that you look good at the end of the day. So if somebody comes in and they're insistent upon having something crazy, I probably won't even do it.
No, I know you won't. Because I
Right.
know someone who wanted something crazy, and she wanted big apple cheeks.
Right. And you just
And that has. If you give her those big apple cheeks and she leaves, and someone looks at her and says, "Oh, haha."
right,
What
where
did
you
who
see.
did you see?
Right, Dr.
It's not good.
Allenby.
It's the same thing in my business as well.
Right,
You know,
exactly. And,
Yeah.
it's just...
and
it's
your
keeping-
name is Serendipity, Dr. Allenby.
Right.
Our names are behind.
Exactly. If somebody said, "Oh, I got a fake this from your place," you'd be like, "That's
Yeah.
not my place because I
Yeah.
checked it out." It's
And how I found you was through one of my customers, and another customer, and another customer, and a consigner. And
Yeah, word of mouth is so important
Oh, big
down
word
here.
of mouth.
Yeah.
And finally, because after many, and I mean it.
right. I mean,
and that's how I found you. And
exactly, and that's why I say credentialing is really important.
Yes.
Reviews are a very huge way for people to be able to credential me at this point in my
Right.
life. And because I have reviews from real people, real
Yes.
patients who I didn't ask them, they're just putting up because they want to.
Yeah.
And I've seen negative ones on me too. And it's
Yeah.
just like, you know what, you're not going to please everybody. And people can look and say, these are real. Because when
and
they read
I understand that.
yeah,
Because it's the
yeah,
same
exactly.
thing. Yeah.
So it's really important. What do I do in my industry? I'm, and I always am a little uncomfortable saying what I am, you know, but
Right.
I'm really one of the top injectors in the country.
That I know.
And
Yes,
I'm
yes.
very fortunate because a lot of the companies, I'm a trainer for them. I'm trainer for other cosmetic doctors.
Yes.
So I'm really lucky in that I get to see everything new, which is really the cool thing about being that level. You know, so
Absolutely.
I can see when a new product is coming out, like the Vobella, which just came out. It's a fantastic new lip product. It's an injectable for the lips, and it gives an airbrushed, air kiss look. It's
Right.
like wow for the lips, and it doesn't swell, but I get to use it like a month before everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, I get to go do the training up in Canada over the whole last year, probably 3 or 4 times at least. So I really get to see a lot of new things with that. You know, I get to go international and lecture on some of these things. You know, the things that I tend to use in my office are what we call neurotoxins, which is the Botox, the Dysport,
Right.
things that relax the muscles. I use fillers in my office, anywhere from things that are going to give structure, like Voluma or Sculptra, or things
Right.
that just fill in little lines, like the Vobella or Wrestling Silk, things that go under the eyes that are
Wrestling.
well, Wrestling Silk is one of my favorites for under the eye because it doesn't swell bad. It kind of spreads nice, and it takes that tired look out from under my
Right.
eyes.
Right.
You might have a little under your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, and I can also make eyebrow shape. You know, there's so many things. And nose. Actually, the noses are kind of a quiet one that
Oh, I love
we
the
don't necessarily
nose.
talk about a lot, but I
Yeah.
do a lot of nose correction
Yes.
with the hyaluronic acids, and
Yes.
it's fantastic. It's
I love
easy.
it.
It is. Once you do it, once you've had it done, it's rare to see a perfect nose. Even nose jobs
Yeah.
still have imperfect outcomes.
I would rather have you do, because I never liked my nose. And I remember going to, and this was the first time in in years, almost my whole adult life, that I finally liked my nose, and I wasn't fearful of showing my profile, because I was always
Aw.
self-conscious of my profile.
Wow.
And you injected in the areas.
Which is actually nice that you even know your profile
Oh,
because most
oh.
people don't even know their profile.
Oh no! But when you're aware and you don't like something, I used to always cover my nose.
Right.
and-
You know, it's
and-
kind of like when people don't have nice teeth.
Yeah.
They don't smile
Yeah.
big, and it's missing. You know, something's missing. You know, and honestly, a patient might come in and they have some things that I can work on, but the
Right.
teeth are awful. And
Yeah.
you're like, I'm sorry, if you don't get your teeth fixed,
Yes.
this is not ever going to help you.
Yes.
One, because the structure is supporting the face, which is
Right.
very important.
Yeah.
And two, it's something that's holding them back, you know. So there are things that are so correctable that are simple, and it makes you feel better at the end of the
Yeah,
day. You know, I'm sure if somebody were watching this, they may say, "Oh my gosh, these two women are so superficial," but it really makes you feel better when
Absolutely,
you
it's
feel
made me.
confident.
My nose has made me feel better.
Right, and that's
It's given
just
me
one
the
little
confidence.
aspect, exactly.
It's given me confidence, and whatever else. I mean, there are many things that have given,
Right, I
and
mean,
here and here, and then the latest thing that you did was very interesting.
There are a lot of things that we have that are newer right now. You know, we do have our fillers, we have our toxins. The devices are very important too. And, you know, part of keeping that natural look is doing things other than just filling up the face,
Yes.
because you see what filling up only does for people out there because they look abnormal. So a little bit of balance with devices. Devices are things like, and I'll kind of talk about each of them, any of the lasers. And
Right.
people hear the word laser and they just kind of like fold up and say, I don't want laser. My friend had it and she looked horrible.
That I want to know about.
Yeah, and
'Cause-
there's so many different lasers. Laser is just a terminology for energy of wavelength. So we
Right.
have devices, and I'm going to call them devices instead of lasers, just to not like cause a buzzword of laser, that just take out pigment, and they don't, you know, they just get the browns and the red spots off you, and you have no downtime.
Yeah.
Then we have types of lasers that don't open the skin, but they tighten the skin. You may have a pink swelling for maybe a
Right.
day or two. That's like a
They also-
like a non-resurfacing fractional. We have lasers that just get rid of brown spots, or some people have melasma or abnormal pigmentation. That's a different one than just brown spots from sun exposure. We have CO2 laser, and in CO2 laser, which is just the name of the laser type,
Right.
you know, because I don't want people to be frightened of it. We have anywhere from very light, and it's called fractionated, all the way to fully ablative. Now, if you've had 70 years of sun damage, you might need fully ablative and you may have to take your downtime, but at the end of the day, you're going to look better and your money's better spent on a more aggressive treatment.
And what does that do? It tightens and...
CO2 laser is actually looking for water in the skin, and it's attracted to the water and it's kind of bursting the water. So it's creating a thermal, like a little heat injury. Some of the heat injury is enough to take the surface off, which is what it's meant to do. Fractionated CO2 laser or fractionated any laser means that instead of a column of one sheet of laser, you're actually getting like just prongs of it. Okay, so you're getting little micro bursts of it and you're leaving normal skin in between those micro bursts. So what happens is the normal tissue allows you to grow quicker, and so you have less downtime and less injury to the tissue.
And what is that one called?
That's called anything fractionated.
I
so
think
when,
yeah,
we've had.
Oh, I think that I love that.
Right, and
it really is. That's
but you
great.
heal fast. That's
Yes.
the key with it is you actually heal really quickly. Versus the standard CO2, which is just one solid ray of energy hitting, is going to take the surface off. So it takes all the yucky stuff off that we have over time, like the brown stuff, the crusty things, all the things that some people need. But you've taken care of yourself, so you don't need something like that. But somebody who's done nothing might need something like that.
They need a clean palate, sort of.
You know what? My analogy is if you've gone for 5 years and you haven't cleaned your house, well, what do you think your house is going to look like?
Exactly.
You got to be a little more aggressive to get to an end point. You might need the bulldozer to knock the house down sometimes. So maybe they need surgery and they come in and I'm like, you know what? You're better off doing surgery.
Yeah.
Or I say we can be a little aggressive and do these, and we just stage them out. Okay, but CO2 laser, you have more downtime, but it does clean up the skin probably the best. And it makes you build collagen because anything that's going to cause energy to the skin is going to create collagen formation. So then you have other devices. Okay, so we have ultherapy, and have had that before?
Yes.
It
also
is
very
ultrasound, and it's a device, it's a type of ultrasound that is using two wavelengths. You can use ultrasound to see, and you can see ultrasound to cause therapy. So ultrasound that you see is kind of like when you look at the baby, you know, and they're looking and they're seeing, it's just wave of sound, wavelengths of sound. So it's showing the dimension of the baby, and we can look at the skin with that type of ultrasound, and then we deliver a therapeutic dose, which means we take two wavelengths of sound and we're converging them to a point where we want to hit deeper in the tissue. And when wavelengths hit, they cause energy, and that causes heat, and that causes collagen stimulation.
Wow.
So we're bypassing the surface of the skin with therapeutic ultrasound, and that's how we get tightening with ultrasound.
Very interesting.
It's actually
amazing
it
how
is.
people, doctors.
It's no downtime, and that's what's awesome about it. It's a little uncomfortable, and usually I'll have to give like a little Valium or something, but that's all.
Yeah.
It's worth it if you have zero ability to have downtime, and you're in pretty good shape,
And it's really not that if you take the proper medicine beforehand.
Exactly.
It is not that bad.
Right. I mean, we can both speak from personal experience on this.
Yes.
So that's one device, and we use that in the office fairly regularly. We have a new device, and it's kind of a combination. Microneedling is very popular right now. Microneedling is a reinvention of an old device. We've done microneedling for years. It just kind of came out because somebody developed it and said, ooh, I want to make some money, so let's make this microneedling device. They've added all sorts of things on top of it because you're just putting pinpricks in the skin. You hear PRP or that plasma being put on top.
Oh, yeah.
No
the
study.
vampire.
Right, the vampire.
Is that really?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
There's no studies. If you just microneedle alone, you're going to see an improvement. Okay. Putting your serum on it.
Because I wondered about that.
Everybody asks all the
Okay.
time. And it's really in cosmetic world, it has not been effective.
Right.
But, anything is kind of new. Right.
It looks good.
It looks scary.
And it sounds interesting.
Yeah, and you hear vampire.
I
wow.
was with someone recently. We went to an event. Well, we were going to check out an event.
Uh-huh.
And I saw her, and she had blood. I know. I couldn't believe.
Scary, yeah.
She had, was it plasma, blood?
Yeah. Well,
Her face was covered with it. The only thing that was
wasn't
exposed
that-
was just her eyes
uh-huh.
and her mouth and her nose.
Well,
and
when
the rest
you roll a needle device over the whole
Right.
face, you're going to be bloody anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
and it
it's
was
not
left
adding.
like it was left like that. She left it and she went out and she got dressed and
right, and you're a source of infection. It's not. It's,
that's true.
In
I
my
never
mind,
thought of
not
that.
a site, not something that would be considered safe.
Yes,
And there's
okay.
no great research is saying it actually works. Now, what does work
Mm-hmm.
is you can deliver the micro needles,
Right.
and it's actually I just got the device, and you've actually experienced some of it yourself already. It is a device that actually puts the micro needles into the tissue, but then you deliver radio frequency.
Yes.
Now, people might have remembered topical radio frequency like Thermage, Pelave. Those are radio frequencies that when you do on the surface of the skin, it's pretty uncomfortable. So it definitely has a tightening effect, but to get the high energies, you usually have to numb it. And if you do at the surface, you're going to more than likely, you could burn the surface. So we have to be
Right.
careful. But when you deliver it deeper in the tissue
Yeah.
and create a sink of energy deeper in the tissue, actually get collagen formation deeper. So it will tighten at a deeper level, and that's kind of what it's going to be doing. Now, the cool thing is it does faces, it does necks, it has a better longevity than the old therapy, but it has more downtime because you are penetrating the skin with the microneedles, but you're delivering the heat deeper down. The heat is really the key on that. It's the heat being delivered is how you really have the action happening.
Right.
So it takes about 3 months to truly see the effect, but it lasts for years versus something that may only last for either a couple weeks or a couple months or a year. So the other thing with this new device is it actually is also approved for cellulite and thigh treatments because that's kind of the new wave. I mean, we do a lot of body contouring with cool sculpting and things
Right.
that are going to make the body shape better because not only do we want our faces looking good, we want the body looking
Yes.
good also. You know, that's part of the whole image. If you're trying to create an image of yourself that you're happy with, you got to include the body. You know, if you just have a pretty face and the body kind of goes south, you know, it's still going to be a problem.
Yeah. Yes, I know. And even the hands, I mean,
Oh, gosh, yeah.
you've done my hands several
Right.
times.
It's people, it's everything, and we're all wanting to do everything, whether it's our faces, our hands, our knees, all these things count.
And I think we're going to take a break.
Oh.
And we'll be right back right after this little break we're having.
As a woman, you know how to accessorize your bodies. Did you realize that your face is the most important accessory that you can carry every day? Dr. Janet Allenby is a board-certified dermatologist that specializes in only aesthetic medicine and helps people put their best face forward. By incorporating the latest cosmetic procedures and the use of state-of-the-art technology, Dr. Allenby provides an incomparable skincare and dermatology experience for Palm Beach County and the surrounding areas. Give Dr. Allenby a call at 561-499-0299 to show off your best accessory, your face, and be the best version of yourself. Give Dr. Allenby's office a call at 561-499-0299 or visit allenbydermatology.com.
Welcome back to Serendipity Style, the weekly show about all the great things available for you at Serendipity Consignment Boutique in Boca Raton. If you want to be part of the show, call us at 888-565-1470. And now, back to the show. Hi, we're back with Dr. Allenby. And once again, she is a cosmetic dermatologist. And did I say that correctly?
Yes.
All right. And she's located, number is?
561-499-0299. So Allenby Dermatology. If you Google Allenby Dermatology, you will find me.
Yes. And also, if you want to call in or you have any questions, please call us at 188 565-1470. And if you're listening on the radio, it is wwnnradio.com. Sounds a little interesting. And we are also 1470 AM and 95.3 FM. And you can also find us on Facebook, streamlining through Facebook as well. Anyway, we're back to with Dr. Allenby, and I'm very interested in hearing more because I'm learning more, even though you've done many things with me and shared with me over the years. It's really, I'm hearing all the details, and it's very interesting.
Well, it's kind of, Lisa, it's like your store. You put a game plan together, and that's what I do with my patients. Like, what would you do for me if I came in your store?
I would, first of all, I would dress you up like a doll. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And the dress you're wearing is from the store. Steve McQueen. I would say Steve McQueen, Alexander McQueen. And yes, I would dress you up and
well, you always
jewel you up and shoe you up and bag you up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because we're all looking to be beautiful,
Yeah.
and that's actually why I like working with you. Not only as a patient, you come in, but I'm your patient. I'm
Right.
your client because
Yes.
really I know that you're going to have the best quality for me when I go in.
Yeah.
And, that's really important, especially with the consignment store. If I went to Saks, I know that's what I'm getting.
Right.
But when you go to a consignment store, it's more of you have to know that the person has a great reputation like you. I mean, when you go to your place, how many plaques do you have on the wall for #1 consignment store
Many.
for Palm Beach?
I do have quite a
Right. I
quite
mean,
a
you should be
few.
proud of that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's a high honor. And there's a lot out there for you to get that level, of recognition. It really is important.
Thank you. And the same thing. I am very honest. And if someone comes into the store and they're looking for something and they go in the dressing room and they come out, and I wait until I hear what they're going to say. But whatever if I don't really think that they look phenomenal
Right.
in what they're wearing,
You don't feel it on them.
I can't. I have to say either take it off, or maybe next time I
Right.
just
Or you find something different for them.
Oh yeah,
You
and
know?
there's so much to choose from.
Right.
So
There
much
there
to
is. I
choose
mean,
from.
your place is amazing. It's like just the bags alone. You could sit there and go for hours.
And I
looking
want
through
to
your
tell
bags.
you, and I really mean it. Every time I'm here, I say I really mean it. But we just received many bags, more Hermes, Evelyn's, the newest and latest Louis Vuitton, which is I have just a little animal print,
Oh.
2016 small backpack that was just launched, and I have I have a jumbo classic, a maxi classic. Probably another 15 to 20 bags came in today.
Wow. Well, we both have very high-end clientele.
Yes.
And we're both in Boca del Rey. Yes. And I think that it is interesting because I know your clients and they may not know that I know, there's not always everybody knows that everybody knows everybody, but everybody
Right.
does
They
know
do.
everybody in
They
our
do.
community. And it is interesting because your name, Serendipity, does come up a lot. They're like, yeah, I'm going to go drop some stuff off at Serendipity. And these people are gazillionaires. So they're giving already 2016 to you where they're looking for their 2017 January line already.
Right.
So it is amazing. Me, I'm happy with 2015.
Right,
So,
exactly.
I don't expire quite as early.
No. And that's, once again, that's how when people come in and the first thing they do, oh, you look so wonderful. Oh, I didn't recognize you, but not recognizing you in that way. But they look at me, and especially they know how old I am. You see the checkout, and I say, Dr. Allenby. Because I'm proud. I feel good about myself. And many a time it's Dr. Allenby. And that is, I even wrote something about my hair, and I talk about Dr. Allenby. And,
and that's what it is. It's like, who doesn't do their hair, their makeup, their nails, and doing cosmetic enhancement, with the fillers.
it's very important.
It's important. And, it is kind of a weird thing in Boca, I'm going to say, in South Florida, if you drive up to a really beautiful car and you look in and the person doesn't look so good, and they could, they
Yes.
just don't take
Yeah.
care of themselves in the manner that we take care of
Right.
ourselves. I'm just going to put it that way.
Yeah.
You look and you're like, whoa, there's a disconnect.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like if somebody has a beautiful bag, but they don't take care of the rest
Mm-hmm.
of themselves, they're still losing speed. You got to wear the face every day. You got to wear the body every day. So you want to have the best look that you can. You're kind of an accessory builder for my people.
Right, exactly.
I can build the face and the body up and I can improve those, but you're going to accessorize them. And that's really important to have the whole package, because that's what this world's about.
And it's true, and that I love it. I love it. I love when first of all, I many times, and I'm saying it again, I'll say it because I look forward to me going to you is my vacation, my resort, my spa.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when I do leave you, I am not leaving with an unusual looking face.
Right.
Because it's very natural. And
Right.
People say to me, you look different. You look different and well rested and beautiful.
Yeah, they work. Those work.
Those are the words that I want to hear. I don't
Right.
want to hear, wow,
Yeah, what'd you do?
Yeah, what did you do?
Exactly.
So, and it's the same with I just like, it's like playing. It's playing. Then you go into my house, which is my store, and you play dress up.
Exactly.
You know.
And I think for both of us, we both really appreciate our clientele.
Yes, very
And,
much so.
I like that you say you feel like it's the spa coming to my office, because even though I'm in charge, it's my office,
Right.
and I'm the director, my staff just love it also. And
I
that's-
love your staff.
Yeah, and that's
I
why I
love your
wanted
staff.
to feel like a spa, because it's a very personal time,
Yep.
and people can be anxious over this having anything done, and I really want them to be able to be part of my family,
Mm-hmm.
Alan B. Cosmetic Dermatology family. I want my staff to always be wonderful to them. And,
Mm-hmm.
I hope that's always the experience. I expect it from my staff, and my staff is excellent in providing it, I think. I only get really rave reviews from my patients.
Well, when I go in, of course, everyone's warm and friendly. The energy is beautiful in there, which I'm an energy person, and I always feel welcome. I feel like they make sure that I have a drink. I have something just to relax and to sit and to talk, and I always feel like I'm home. And I say that I'm home.
Right.
I'm with my family,
And
I walk around.
Right, and you're
it's
part
just-
of our
yeah,
family,
yeah.
exactly. And I think it goes the same in your facility
Yes.
too. And speaking of which, I heard you're expanding.
I am. I'm expanding. I
Wow.
am expanding to actually 2 other locations. One is east of Boca, East Palmetto, and I'll be right across from the hotel. Where all of a sudden,
The Boca Resort?
No, not the Boca Resort. Actually, I am going to be on East Palmetto. You go through Federal, and I'm the second block on the left.
On Palmetto.
Yes, there's the Hyatt, I believe it's the Hyatt. Hello there, Lisa. I'm right, sort of diagonal from the Hyatt. And I'm also going to be on Military, which is right across the street from Boca Center.
Wow.
It's actually across the street from Joseph's, and there is a
perfect.
dark glass building. And they're going to open up the bottom floor.
Across from the old Crocker Center.
Yeah.
Like across from the Marriott.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I will be more towards Town Center Road. And there is a gray glass building. I believe Wells Fargo is in there. You'll see. There's going to be a whole entrance, double doors, and that should be ready sometime in March, April. And in January will be East Boca.
Over here in East Boca.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
think it's a great thing, because, I think everybody does
The
rely
Hyatt.
on you.
It's the Hyatt.
So,
I
but
just-
I think
yeah,
everybody
yeah,
relies
it's a Hyatt.
on your delivering a great product, and I
Yes.
think that makes a big
Yeah.
difference.
And I realized that the East stay East and the West stay West.
People
so I
don't
needed to go. I didn't realize that. But
Yeah.
they do. They come from all over. But this is now I'll be able to be in both places. So I'm really excited about that. I'm very
Well,
excited.
You're expanding. I know
Yes.
you were breaking at the seams there, so
Yes.
that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's
looking
fun.
forward
It
to
is
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
You get a whole nother crowd.
I'm born again. Reborn, I should say. Reborn.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So, yes, well, I am not expanding. I love where I'm at,
Yes.
and I like to stay in a nice little location. My location, as you know, at Linton and Jog, you know what? It's a homey little place. It actually is very
Where are you
elegant.
located again
It's
when you go?
it's Linton and Jog next to American Heritage.
Oh, okay.
You know, that's
American
the best
Heritage.
way for people kind of between the Publix and the American Heritage is the
Right.
best way for people in their minds to think where I'm located. It's an elegant building, but you know,
Yes.
more it's more spa feeling there,
Yeah.
which is what I like
Well, that's
about
why I
it.
said it's spa. Yeah, I just walk in and there's always warmth and
Yeah.
a wonderful greeting, and I have never had
It's like the
any
Cheers. It's like
attitude.
Cheers. Everybody knows your name.
Yes,
You know.
yes. And I walk right in. I go to Linda's office, and Linda is.
Yeah, we have Linda Moore, who has been with me for more than 15 years now,
Yes.
and she is fantastic in really trying to provide the best service. You know, she really has people at her best in her heart.
Yes.
And I think that's what's actually but all of my staff, everybody really wants the best for the patient. And I think that's where we kind of stand out
And
is
you feel that.
right.
You
I mean,
definitely feel
we
that
don't
when
do
you're in the
anything
office.
but cosmetic. We're not
Yes.
doing a million biopsies and all the other derm things. And
Yep.
we really are just seeing people for cosmetic treatments, and it doesn't go outside of that
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's really important for them to be separate. When I used to do regular derm and cosmetic together, it was hard to separate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because your mind is in one way, and medical thinking is very different than cosmetic. You know, cosmetic is more arty, it's more right brain, it's more thinking of shapes. And
Yes.
when you're going from, okay, this is a funny looking lesion, I need to biopsy, it is a total mindset change, and your staff has
Absolutely.
to adjust.
Absolutely.
So going into something that is really just flowing with the cosmetic or the arts.
Yes. And you really are an expert.
Well, thank you.
Because I always feel when you are looking at my face, I see you looking at all the proportions, and you really study it and
Yeah.
examine, and you discuss it, and I feel it's
Well,
very
and I'll tell you the secret. It's mathematics. I am very right-brained and art inclined, but art is really a translation of science and numbers and mathematics. It is, and I talk about proportion because it's so important. The proportion that we're looking at, and a lot of people have heard the golden rule before. The golden rule is actually called phi, P-H-I, not P-I like pi, but
Right.
phi. And it's a proportion of 1 to 1.618. And when you're balanced, it's of those proportions. And it's certain ratios of those proportions that give the eye, the beholder,
Right.
a look to whatever the object is, whether it's a person or an artwork. That's what makes somebody go, ooh, that's pretty. Because our mind likes that look. Like a nautilus shell, one of those circular shells. If you measure it out, it's 1 to 1.618 as it gets larger. It's a proportion of it. When you look at a sunflower, it has the same proportion. When you see a Stradivarius violin and you measure it, it's going to have that proportion. When you look at Da Vinci's Last Supper, you can measure it out. It has that proportion. All of like the Greek architecture is with that proportion because our mind sees it as a healthy balance, and health is what our mind likes. We like things that have a certain balance to them.
I'm just listening to you.
And, you know, but I've been studying it for
But it
years.
doesn't matter. I'm listening, and first of all, I'm very happy that I found you, only because I hear what you're saying. You're not just doing whatever it is.
Willy-nilly, right.
And that's that.
Right. You know.
Thank you.
Right.
No, it really
you know, it's
means
that,
a lot to me.
It's that portion.
trust, too. It's trust.
Right.
I trust you.
You trust me, but that's what it is. You know, a lot of people have to understand they do need to trust whoever's doing their procedures. And
Of course, because
sure
if I'm sitting, if you're explaining what you're going to or what you see, and I'm saying, well, I don't know. I trust you.
Yeah.
If you tell me, if I've been to you, I said, you would say, no, it's really this side.
Right.
But
that's, you know, I'm supposed to diagnose
That's right.
what is causing the thing you don't like.
You do that very
if
well.
somebody has an itch,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean the itch is the problem. There's something that's causing the itch.
Right.
So that's the diagnosis. Itch is a symptom. A wrinkle may be a symptom of a lack of volume or a
Right.
lack of shape somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's shape. It's also what do we put in that's going to give you the best outcome?
Yes.
What is going to get you there? Is it a device that tightens you?
Mm-hmm.
Is it I'm working on your body? Is it profound that's going to tighten up your skin?
Mm-hmm.
Or do I need to do another procedure that I use like Selfina that is going to break the bands of the cellulite and make your skin look smoother that way? I have to know the right technique.
That was another thing I was going to say. You do have to know the
You
right
do.
technique
You
because
do.
there are many to choose from. And you have to, it's deeper than anyone.
Yes,
I mean,
it's
it
is, and it's
for you. It's not because
Right,
it's part of what you do. It's
yeah,
the same thing with
exactly.
me. I know people will
right.
say,
I
"Oh
don't know
my
how
gosh,
you put half your stuff together. I
Yeah.
mean, just your ensemble today. I wouldn't even know how to have put the earrings with the
And
scarf.
for me,
with
it's
the
very,
this.
it's me. It's normal and natural. And
Right.
yeah. But that's because I know.
We need each other.
But we do, and we have each other, and I don't never want to lose each other. That's one thing.
And we won't.
Yeah.
No, it is interesting. People have their own gift that they give to the world.
Yes.
And ours is beauty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a bad thing either.
No, because we both are very beauty oriented.
Yeah, it's very
That
important.
is something important to us. It's a high priority for us. Not everybody is going to be, and
And when
that's
they
okay.
come to us, they're coming to us. They're coming to you.
because they're seeking that.
Yes, and me with my clothing and whatever I have. So they're walking in, and
Right.
they would like to talk to us.
Right. They want to use our expertise to
Yes.
help them, which that's what we provide for them. And it's not for you and it's not for me something that came lightly. It's
Right.
something that took years to develop.
Absolutely.
And it took years of good and bad to develop.
Yep.
You've learned your lessons on certain things, I'm sure. There are certain things that you say, I'm not going to carry that because it never works out well for my
Exactly.
people. And the same with me. There are I'm not a fan of this stuff called Belafil. It's been renamed many different. It was Article, and now
Right.
Belafil. So I'll have a patient come in and like, somebody wants to put Belafil in me, and I'm like, you can go see them and have
Yeah.
it put in. Maybe they're an expert
And
at
that's another thing I love about you is that your honesty about that.
it. Right. If it doesn't work for me, I can't endorse it. And
Exactly.
even though I'm very lucky that because I have a lot of experience in a lot of companies, we work together to help educate the other doctors who are going to be injecting out there. It really allows me to see other people's techniques
Right.
and either embrace them or disregard them.
Yeah.
I'm not one who, just because Joe Schmo is doing it,
Right.
like the PRP, I think, the plasma, people don't
right.
know is plasma rich, platelet plasma rich is what PRP is.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to embrace it just because somebody down the block is doing
I'm
it.
glad we discussed that because I've been hearing that. Oof.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
been a buzzword for probably about 3 years.
Yeah.
And people, they're kind of scammed into paying extra money
Yes.
for it, where
Well, they'll find out eventually.
They're not
So
going
it will
to.
well,
Honestly.
I believe also things will show itself if it's not going to work.
well, they're using other stuff that works with it.
Aha.
So that is
I
why
understand.
you don't
Yes,
need
yes,
to
yes,
add
yes,
it in
yes.
there and risk other things to have it.
I've got it.
I don't love having blood products in my office. I think it's not the cleanest thing in the world. The less bloody that I can do in my office, the better to me.
Yes.
Because it's just, that is something that we have a huge problem in this country with antibiotic resistant staph. And everybody's heard of a staph infection with one of their friends or relatives, or they get MRSA, which is
And
a
that's
type
pretty
of it.
bad.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
And whenever you're getting more open wounds or more open tissue or blood products in your office, that's always a risk, and there are people that get sick from that who have cosmetic procedures out there.
Right.
So it's a real risk for people.
And that's something that you're aware of, and I along with others appreciate that.
Yeah. I think that, people should expect to come and have their best interests at heart with whoever they're with. And there might be foolhardy people who don't really realize the risk of that. I'm talking about the the physicians or the nurse practitioners or the PAs, they may not realize the whole implication of the things they do sometimes. I think people have to really come in when they have expectations in my office. I want them to be very clear on realistic outcomes because, somebody might come in and go, you know what, I'm 80, I haven't done anything, I have a bar mitzvah to go to, fix me. And you're like, you're not going to fix the way they're thinking you're going to fix. We can help you to some degree. You can have surgery, but you're still never going to fully recover because you started at a later point. And that's okay. But it's really important, expectations, being real, understanding the limitations and the benefits of some of these things that we do in the office.
Sure, and if it's not real, it's not stated as this is how it is, then right away the expectations, they leave and they say, I thought I was going to get rid of this and that. And
right. It's
not the reality. It's like my bags. Someone comes in and says that they want $5,000 in their pocket for a $5,700 bag.
Right. Well, you try to work with people as much as you can, but to a certain degree, there is always a cost with whatever somebody wants to do. And it's something that if you're not ready to do that, that's okay. That's nothing wrong with that. These are all things that are not necessary. My treatments, are not necessary for people to survive. Some people think they are, but they really aren't. I don't know. Maybe for me they are, but for me to do my own face, yes, that might be something I need to survive. I'm kidding.
Right. No, but I want to tell you something. I don't know how you do your own face.
Oh, well,
must be quite interesting.
It is, and honestly, it's more. Like you see some abnormal looks out there, I have very little trust, and I see what people do out there.
I don't blame you.
So it kind of scares me to have other people.
I wouldn't let anyone else touch me but you.
I have a couple people, and they're more like surgeons if I were going to do something. But I try to do everything non-surgical because I'm afraid of surgery too. I don't want to have any negatives, and I think the risk benefit, if I can do something non-surgical myself, that's what I'm going to do too. And honestly, everything in my office is because I want it for me.
Absolutely.
And that's why it trickles down to you guys.
And I
same as you. It's all with same with your purses and your jewelry. And people who don't know about Serendipity, who haven't been there, best jewelry ever. You really have some fantastic jewelry.
You.
We talk about the bags a lot, but I really think you get some fantastic jewelry that people should not overlook because it's kind of like quiet on the side there.
Right. It's all bags. But yes, jewelry and clothing. That's another.
The clothing is fantastic. And actually, how many pairs of shoes have I gotten through your place?
Many. And
I know.
I know what you like.
Yes.
And another thing, when I know what you like, I put the packages together.
Exactly.
I put the packages together. And I want to tell you where I am right now. I'm at the location in Glades Plaza, and I'm 3 doors to the left of Bruzy's and near Abe and Louie's, and it's 2200 Glades Road, and it's 561-338-0656. And if you want to call the station, 1-888-565-1470. If you have any questions for Dr. Allenby, please give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Hello there. Anyway, but it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful.
Well, hopefully you kind of get a glimpse into my office, Allenby Dermatology, and you can Google Allenby Dermatology. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Or call me.
Yeah, and and come on my sites and look at before and afters. And I'm in New Beauty Magazine, which is something you can read a lot of very good information about. But, we really enjoy meeting new people and kind of trying to guide them into the best setup that they can have. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to do something with me, but usually we can find a treatment plan that works about for everybody.
Exactly. Oh, this has been lovely. Thank you for coming on my show.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, I hope. You never know when I call and pop in.
We always try to get you in. You're a VIP in our office.
Thank you. And once again, Serendipity Style, Lisa, and I'm with Dr. Janet Allenby, and you are located in...
I'm at 6290 Linton Boulevard. I'm in the 4th building back, Delray Beach, Florida, and it's between American Heritage School and the Publix in that little neighborhood. been there for 12 years in that office.
Your phone number.
Yeah.
Yes, I want your phone number.
Exactly. 561-499-0299. Allenby Dermatology is the website. Again, Facebook is usually a great place just so people can kind of find out what's going on in my office. We do tons of fun events. Yesterday we had a fantastic food and wine tasting. A new store is going to be opening. And I'm going to butcher it. So it's called La Sorel, and it's going to be out here on actually Federal Highway, just a little bit north of Yamato. Fantastic little, I did not
When
have
are they
any of the
opening?
wine. They're opening December 1st.
Okay,
and
I'll look forward to
actually,
that.
it's a fantastic Italian food.
Right.
I did not drink the wine. I had patience to see, but
Right.
I did eat some lasagna,
Yeah.
and it was fantastic. I was just like, oh.
A new place in town.
Yes, and I think it's going to start a little small, kind of
Right.
like you, small, and expand bigger.
Good.
But it will be really great. And actually, we had Lisa Pompelli from
Oh, yes.
Ivy Lee's on Tuesday. She did a makeup and lashes.
She's
with my
terrific.
patients.
She's
Oh my
terrific.
gosh,
Yeah.
love their stuff.
When,
Just understands
Yeah.
beauty. She's kind of like one of us. And I hate to
Yes.
say that,
Yeah.
as far as this sounds kind of cliche, but really she understands how to make someone look good and feel good about themselves.
Yeah. I love her. I love the way she applies makeup, and
Right.
it's very light. And it's not, you don't leave there feeling like, oh my gosh,
Right.
my face. I can't wait to go home and wash my face. And
Right.
her hair is, but we have to say goodbye and good night. And I hope you have a good night. And thank you again, Dr.
Thank you.
Allenby.
Thank you so much for having me. I certainly
My pleasure.
appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. Good night, everyone. Thank you for watching Serendipity Style. Have a good evening. Thank you for watching Serendipity Style. I hope you saw something you liked tonight. Come and see me at Serendipity Boutique in Glades Plaza, 2200 Glades Road, Boca Raton, or call me at 561-338-0656. See you soon.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Know your body, gain control of your health, transform your life.